Grimco is heavily involved in the manufacturing and producing of traffic signs, regulated MUTCD compliant, manual of uniform traffic control devices compliant traffic signs. And this isn't just a Grimco thing. We got partners like SAi Flexi that allow us to bring this all together. And so essentially it's HP latex is the printer, 3M is the material, and they're the ones that kind of set the standard for longevity as well as the visibility of these traffic signs in real world conditions. But then SAi Flexi is the software partner behind the scenes, kind of bringing it all together and making it happen. And so I've done several webinar related traffic sessions through the years, the generation 3 latex printers, as we now find ourselves moving forward into the 4th generation of HP latex printers. And we've even added some other vendor partners based on your customer workflow, based on your output or expected output in your shop. Summa has been a great addition into this traffic sign productions, allowing you to use a flatbed cutter to then process down and complete these traffic sign prints. And so we've done a whole bunch of these webinars where we focus on the equipment. I thought today would be fun to focus on the software side of things. So that's why I had my guy Mark join me here. Mark runs a lot of the things with SAi Flexi. It's also why I decided to wear my glasses today. This is software intensive. Glasses really sells it, right? So
The truth, man.
so Mark, why don't you take a minute, introduce who you are, what you do, and we'll jump into this.
Yeah, appreciate being part of this. I think it was probably 35 years ago I started in this wide format business. Vinyl cutters 12 inches wide, and here we are. Talking about printing all this big stuff and really moving forward. It's amazing how this has really moved forward. And all that time has been involved in training, just teaching people how to do things. I'm actually now the managing director of learning and development at SAI, who are the makers of the traffic edition of Flexi. And it's interesting. We've really paid attention to users, and so what you're about to see is some really huge improvements for this particular market. So looking forward to showing those to you.
No, absolutely. Mark, you hit on a super valid point that, you always got to keep in the back of your mind is what we're doing today is not what we're going to be doing tomorrow. What we
So
did
true.
yesterday is not what we're doing today. It's always moving forward. Like yourself, I started in this industry and you adapt, you improvise. There's new equipment that comes up all the time, and it's understanding the workflow and what it can do for you. And the software component of it is one of those things people don't think about. It's a necessary evil, but it's like, man, if you utilize the full functions and features that are available in those software programs, it's a game changer. What we can do with that software programs, wasn't even possible in years past. So, and so
Absolutely
today we're
right.
going to focus on the SAi Flexi Complete package. That's the new release coming here, and the version that we're looking at specifically is SAi Flexi Complete for traffic sign production.
That's right. That's right.
And guys, we're recording this. We're going to post this to Grimco's YouTube channel. But there's Mark. Mark is a wealth of knowledge. So when I get stumped on things, he's who I reach out to. The one thing we really want to demonstrate, in addition to the amazing things this software can do, but the support and after to get you going, the amount of things that as involved as Grimco is, how involved SAi Flexi is in this, 3M as well as HP to make this system a viable, repeatable, profitable scenario that everyone can be involved in. So, yeah. So, Mark, you want to take us through and show us a couple cool tips and tricks?
Sounds good. Let me share my
Before we jump
screen.
into it, what is complete? Like, can you give a nutshell explanation of what the SAi Complete is for us?
Sure. Let me cancel this out. Can you see? I want to make sure you see the screen
Yep.
there too.
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, awesome. So what we've been doing is Flexi kind of started out with just vinyl cutting, and then it started getting involved in the printing. And Flexi Complete is we used to have versions, version 10, version 12, version 19, so forth. What we did now was we said let's create a product, and let's create a way of providing that to customers so that you don't have to worry about upgrading, because you get the upgrades with Flexi Complete. Once you get Flexi Complete, Traffic Edition, so forth, from that point on, any updates, upgrades, so forth are just going to come to the user. And then in addition to that, it allows any user of Flexi Complete can get a hold of our training department or our tech support department and talk about whatever issues that might arise. So it's a way of making it more available and budget friendly to any shop that wants to use it.
Especially when you think about, the software is driving a printer. Firmware update happens on the printer. The driver
That's right.
needs to be kept current with the addition of the firmware.
That's right.
We figure out a widget inside the printer to then make it more efficient. You need to have that current up to date software. So,
That's
and
it.
that
That's exactly right.
can't be understated enough, that ability to reach out to somebody for support. We live in a real world. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be something that comes up. You need to have that reliable source to get that problem solved.
Yeah, and I know having visited some of the traffic shops, those guys out there, they know how to work through problems. So this just it just kind of takes away some of the headache and some of the worry from the software side, and that's really what we're after with Flexi Complete.
Yeah, generally speaking, there's nothing a little duct tape can't fix, but when it comes to software, it's more than duct tape.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you a few new things that are in Flexi Complete. This is the very latest and greatest stuff. So we'll do a little software demo also. We'll talk a little bit about, why it's a good idea to trade up to this latest version. And then at the end is my passion, which is some of the training things that are available to you in the workforce that you've got there. So one really nice thing that happened in Flexi Complete is it now has the latest regulated traffic color formulations from 3M. So what that means is when you print red or you print green or blue, whatever the traffic colors are, they have been tuned to be compliant, and 3M did a great job of that, and we worked very closely with them to include those in this particular release. So this is really, really good. Then we added some additional design elements that make it easier to use the program. And as I mentioned, after you get this upgrade, there's no further worry about upgrade cost. Those are going to be part of the program that you're getting involved with, plus the ability of to get a hold of tech support. And then very importantly, is the latest cutter drivers. So we were talking about this, the Summa flatbed, the Graphtec roll cutters, and many other cutters. That's all part of the system here, and it's going to make it much easier to do. So just a screenshot. I'm not going to do a big PowerPoint thing here. I'm going to get into the software in just a second, but I did want to point out a couple of things, and you'll recognize the value of this right away. So here we have like an MUTCD yield sign here. So we are 100% compatible with the MUTCD. Even though it doesn't come with Flexi, once you use those things, you can open them readily in Flexi. And we added this swatch table down here on the bottom. These are the new color swatches that actually create the proper reds and greens and yellows for the particular signage. We also added what's over here on the right-hand side, something we call the Summa methods swatch table for GoProduce. So if you have a Summa table and you want to send a file to that table, you can go through GoProduce. And what's nice about that is we created a swatch table so that GoProduce understands how to do things like kiss cutting and perf cutting and so forth. And I'm going to show you a little demo of that in just a second. So I think you'll really enjoy that. And as I mentioned, all of those MUTCD signage, warning signs and regulatory signage, you can use those directly in the product. And I'm going to show you a few that I'm going to open up in here. As I mentioned, that we also, because we're keeping up with things, even from a driver for a cutter standpoint, you can actually access the options that are needed to do control things like the pressure of the blade and so forth, so that you get a nice clean cut or a nice perf cut that goes all the way through the material. So this is all you're going to see something and say, man, this is starting to look complicated. Well, what I'm going to show you is how easy this is to do, because you basically can print images. And then if you want to, instead of hand cutting it out, you could actually do a contour cut where you cut the whole piece out like a big decal and place that right on your sign blank, and boom, the sign is done. Or if you need to laminate, you can take it out, laminate it, put it in that cutter, and then cut it. and you've got it nice and laminated. So there's a lot of different workflows depending on the signage, but we're going to show you how to do all of that. So that being said, let's take a look at some of these features here in Flexi. Okay, so let me switch over to Flexi, and I want to make sure you're seeing that as well, Neil, just to make sure.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, great. So this is the interface, and we did a couple of nice little things here that they're kind of little things, but they're also big things from time to time. So, for instance, in Flexi now, and in your preferences menu, you can actually go right here where it says theme, and let's say I want a dark gray theme, you know, because I just like dark gray. You can change the color of your background basically, so that, you know, whatever is comfortable for you. In that case, you can change it to. So we have a lot of different little colors in here. I happen to like silver, so I leave it on that. And while I'm here in the preferences, something that's sometimes a pain, and that is, let's say you do get an update from this point forward, and you know, you're like, man, am I going to have to set up my cutter again and my printer, and do I have to, you know, change all my settings back to the way they were? The answer is no, because you can literally back up everything, settings, swatch tables, everything that's in Flexi right now, and then when you install a new version of it, let's say, or an update, you just restore all those settings. So you don't have to go through that headache of installing and so forth. And I know Neil will like that because he sets up a lot.
That's I mean, whether it's software or, you know, different configurations, I'm a huge fan of backups. It's a real world we live in. Computers die all the time. Your power goes out in your building. Having a backup is safe. So a customer can store that backup file on an external hard drive. You know,
Yep.
happens 6 months from now, they got that backup, they can go back to this day and have things set.
Exactly. And it just really saves time. And we're even working to improve that. So that's going to be kind of cool. Let me open up a few files here. Okay. I'm going to go up here. I've got I downloaded a few of these files here, right? So let's open up this guy. All right. This is the MUTCD file. Okay. Let me open up another one real quick. You're going to like this, I think. Here's another one that I want to open up. And then I'm going to open up one last one here. And you can see this. I'm not operating on a super duper computer here. This one, I don't have the font styles for the this particular signage. So I'm just going to say, take the lettering and convert it so that it's still compliant. That's kind of cool. So here's the thing, you know, I've got 3 open files in here, and I'm like, man, I need to go back to that yield sign. This is what we've really done. At the very bottom now, you can say tabs down here. You can literally click on the tabs and switch between designs that you're working on that quickly. You don't have to go close it or try to minimize and figure out where it is. You just click on the tab and it's right there. And the tab has the name of the file. So you know this is from your MUTCD file. If you have a little poster that has that number on it, you know exactly what file you're using. So it's kind of a cool way to do things. I think I really like that. And you know, we're going to use this file here to kind of demonstrate a couple of things. Is that red going to print compliant red? Is that really going to print that red? Well, to make sure of that, what we can do is we can do a couple of things. We have shortcut keys, like just the letter D. If I press the letter D as in Delta, we can actually say, you know what, let's select everything that says traffic red. So it's selected everything on my screen here that's traffic red. And I'm going to go to my swatch table and click on the new traffic red that 3M developed. Now, when I click on that, sure, that doesn't look right, but that's not the point. The point is that it actually assigned the recipe, the formula to create the proper red. It is the right red. In fact, you know, this is
proper red formula that the HP latex is going to interpret and come out to that correct value.
That's right. That's right. So that the latex machine, you know, prints with these ink combinations, and it's the right formulas to come out correctly when you actually print this on your HP. So if we needed to print this, right, we just go right up here to the top where it says rip and print. Okay. And here's another cool thing about what we've done. Okay. This is, even after many years, I always forget things. You know, I mean, I'm getting older, I forget things anyway. But anyway, what settings do I need to use here? What's the proper profile to use and so forth? I don't know. But what we did was right here, there's a list of what we call presets. So if I'm going to print on this 365 4000 series ASTM 3.1, I click on that, and guess what it does? It automatically will adjust my file here. It automatically loaded up the correct profile to use, so I don't have to worry about that. It's centered it on my screen right here. All I need to do is just tell it how many copies I want. If I want 1 copy, 2 copies, if I want them side by side, how much space I want between, whatever the case may be, that's all I have to do right now, right? When I send that file, when I send this file, right, I'm going to hit send right here. I'm going to put it on hold. It's on the hold list here. So I'm going to hit send. It's sending it to the 365. And when I go up to the production manager side of the 365, right, let's cancel that for a second. This is where it is. This puts it on hold. This actually is what's called ripping. That's how it processes it. And up here, it'll show all your jobs that are printing. Well, is it ready to print yet? Well, there's just one thing I have to look at. It is actually ready, by the way. I could just send the job. It was just that fast. But let's take a look at this job real quick. I'm going to double click on this job name here. And I just want to show you some things. You don't have to do this in your workflow. Basically, in your workflow, you made sure the red was the right red. You hit send and you print the job. That's basically the workflow. But if we take a look at this right here, which is kind of cool, I can go in here and let's take a look at this is called the color management tab here. I just want to show you a couple of things here that's kind of cool. See where it says use color mapping? That red that we chose in our design side here, we assigned to this yield sign here. And what happened was it said, okay, that red, this is the formula. You can't see it because we don't want you to mess it up. We want to make it foolproof.
Position. Yep.
Yeah. So what happens is 3M's already made it assuring that it's going to come out correctly on your 365 or whatever HP you're using. And so we know that that red is going to have a certain combination of ink. It's going to print perfectly. And by the way, all that happened because I had that preset. See the preset up here? When I choose that preset, it corrects everything for me. So I don't have to worry about setting things up and figuring things out.
Right.
That's the advantage of it. That's the workflow.
And that's the key. That's why we love the HP Latex 3M combination. Is they have sat down and came up with the right recipe, the right formula for all of those 7 MUTCD compliant colors. And so that
exactly.
it's not just the color, red yield sign matching another red yield sign. It's also the density. This is retro reflective material, so the light is going through the color, hitting the back side of the film, and then bouncing back through that, so it gives you the correct. At 75 miles an hour, that stop sign or yield sign looks the same as 25 miles an hour. So that rate.
Yeah, exactly. And as you know, if you're laminating, doing all those things, that's also taken into consideration. So it's the compliant one. That's all there is to it, right? Well, what if we want to take this? Let's take this little graphic right here, and I'm just going to select that black outer area there. And let's do a couple of things here with it. Let's take that same signage that we're making here. And in my effects menu, I'm just going to add what's called a contour cut or a kiss cut. Now, if I'm going to use GoProduce, I'm not going to just add a spot color randomly and say that's a contour cut. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my swatch table down here, and I'm going to open up, I'm going to go to my Summa library of colors here, and we've got one here called methods. So I'm going to open that up, okay? And it just places it on the screen there. And probably you're just going to leave that on the screen. Well, what is this Summa methods thing here? Well, it's a series of colors that mean something to GoProduce, right? So here's this kiss cut color. Here's the cut through color right here. All right. So if I want to make a contour cut around the edge of my graphic here, I can go to my effects menu and I can just say, make a contour cut or a kiss cut. And what I'm going to do is go down here and assign that kiss cut to it, that color, okay? And I can make that any size I want. I'm going to make it 0 so it cuts right around the edge of the outside of my black line there. And then I'm also going to go in here one more time. I'm just going to take the same drawing that we're working on here. And let's go back up and do something else. Let's just for the sake of showing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another cut line, but this time I'm going to go down and I'm going to assign cut through. And let's make it, by the way, for you guys that don't like fractions, I'm going to make it like 1/2 inch here, right? Just type in a half there and hit that, and it automatically does the math for me. So you guys don't have to worry about fractions anymore. So this is just a quick demo, right? Okay, so now what happens? I need to print it. Maybe I need to laminate it, and then I need to bring it back into my cutter and cut it, something like that, maybe. I don't know. If that's the case, I can just hit my print just like I did before. No problem. And look what it did. It automatically assigned the correct barcodes, the correct registration marks automatically. And again, all I do is click on the material, right? Here's this series that I'm going to use. So it's assigning it correctly here, okay? It's doing everything. If I go to my cut, where I want to regulate my how much pressure do I use to cut the kiss cut? How much pressure do I use to cut all the way through the material? Right? Well, it turns out that because I'm using GoProduce and because I've set this preset automatically, guess what? This is automatically being set, by the way. That preset automatically did this, right? That's the cut through. This is the kiss cut. If I want to do the kiss cut first, I can move them up and down that easily, right? It gives me the options here. Like here's the job options. Here's the kiss cut, right? I can change these if I want to, change the speed and so forth. You guys know what's going on here. Sometimes you got to slow things down so they don't, it gives that blade time to get through the material or whatever. Sometimes you need a little more pressure, sometimes less. You control it. And just by assigning the preset up here, it automatically assigned some default settings. And then you can control those on your own if you want to, just by double clicking on them and changing them. You can even change the options for the marks. If you need a bigger diameter circle for your marks in here for some reason, or maybe some other option for this particular cutter, they're all right there in front of you.
The cutter or the workflow. That's
Or the
a question that
workflow.
comes up a lot with customers is, hey, I have this printer and this cutter. Will this software work together? And that's the options are there in SAi Flexi. And again, the easiest method or the most repeatable method would be to develop it as a quick set. And so it happens
Exactly.
the same way every
Exactly.
time. You're not having to remember. You can have multiple people in your shop be able to operate the software effectively, efficiently. It makes it really easy to go through that workflow.
As a matter of fact, Neil, you can actually set up a preset or a quick set for each kind of project if you wanted to. So you know that next time the project needed to be done, the guy that's maybe a little more proficient with Flexi can set it all up, and the guy that's maybe not using it as much can come in and you can set up a preset that's called, hey Joe, use this one when you're doing the yield sign, and it just loads everything right up, and you're ready to go.
That easily. And you're not limited to the amount of presets, like you said. Tie it to the what you're producing, and that's the easiest way. So next time you got to produce that banner or that traffic sign, it's the exact same workflow every single way. So
That's right. And you see here, my Summa was set up here, and all we did was we set it up with the GoPro driver, basically. So it automatically has everything that the GoPro needs, including the place where the file needs to go when you hit send. So you literally get what happens here is, let's go back. If I'm ready to send this file, if I get ready to send it, I just want to make sure it's on hold here. Yep. So when I send this, this is what happens automatically, right? In my production manager, I have a print file that's ready to go. And then I have a cut file. And they're two separate files. You didn't have to separate them yourself. It automatically knows where each one needs to go and all those settings that are involved in each one of those cases. So it's a
I
very
really like the change of go back to the cut file real quick. The fact that
sure.
we have two different colors representing kiss cut and through cut, like it's just
Yes. That way you can tell which one's the kiss cut, which one's the perf cut or the cut through. Very easily done. And you have full control, which is kind of nice, which is that's just kind of, I know this is kind of a short webinar. That's kind of like a quick overview of some of the things that we've added to this that makes it much easier. The biggest thing is it's fully compliant. 3M's done all the testing on it, with HP, and then it's also, just much easier to use. What's good about the trading up to the program? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, once you have this version of the program, there's no future costs. There's no future things going on. You're going to get updates and things. If we create some new feature that's really great for the signage, traffic signage, it's going to be in the software. You get it. You'll always be up to date, and you'll always be able to meet those ASTM specifications that you are looking to meet. So those are some reasons for trading up. There's one other thing here, Neil, if I could finish out.
Yeah, go ahead. Actually, you know
Oh,
what? Why don't you, can you let me share for a minute? We're getting into the
absolutely.
training,
Yeah, yeah.
training and support side of things.
Sure.
I want to share my screen real quick and just show something here. So
Okay.
anybody who purchases equipment or software through Grimco, you have access to the world's best technicians, and I want to show you how to access that. So from our website all the way at the bottom, we have an equipment support link, and this will give you instant access to a Grimco technician. Grimco technician is going to come on site, install your equipment, show you how the operation works, go through the workflow, get you running with this. 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, you have a question or you're running against a problem. Here's how you access support. So we have instant live chat right here to a technician. This goes directly to a technician, not to a sales team person, someone who actually knows how to use the equipment. It goes right to them there. From there, if it's more complicated, you can submit a request, and the submit a request goes to the same technician. The big difference between submitting a request and a live chat is here you can upload pictures. So if you got something's happening with a print, you can send us a picture. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. But I wanted to point out this other section to our website. It's this equipment support hub where we have knowledge-based articles. So Grimco Tech Support is available Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern until 5 o'clock Pacific. But you run into a problem outside of those hours, we have kind of cultivated articles, videos down here to help you and get you back into running. A whole section just on SAi Flexi. This is a tip of the iceberg kind of scenario because Flexi's done a great job of supporting their software, but these are the key things that our customers look for a lot that we add in here, little neat features. But I think where Mark was heading next is hey, are there additional training resources for SAi Flexi? And so from our website, we talk about that, and I'll let you take back the screen, Mark, and you can really bring it way better than I could. So
Sure. No problem. No problem. You should be there. There we go.
yep, looks good.
So we have a part of our company, and this is SAI. These are the makers of Flexi, but we just named this department Addendo, which is actually Portuguese for appendix or extra help. And basically, we have 4 ways that a shop can get help. There's an online community that's free of charge where you can just talk about stuff. There's virtual training. We have a dozen experts. I know of 2 of them that actually do on-site training, and I'll talk about that in a second. But these guys are experts. What I mean by that is they know things about laminators and tools and how to overcome application issues and so forth, in addition to knowing the software. And so they can be made available on anywhere from a half an hour to as many hours as you want. Then we have e-courses where you can actually go online. I'm actually working on a complete traffic training course right now. It should be ready in about a month or so. And then we have on-site training. I want to talk about that for a second. This is where one of our advisors from Addendo would actually come to your shop, sit down with your folks and go over the Flexi software, of course, show you a lot more than I just showed, and then also work with you to streamline your workflow. And I want to tell you an experience. This just happened this week. There is a customer that we had where we did on-site training. We did a 2-day training workshop for Naperville, the city of Naperville.
It's Naperville, Mark.
Naperville, okay, Naperville. And so the guy went in and helped them set it up so that they got much better at their workflow and helped them with just all kinds of different subjects. And they were extremely happy with the training. So a few months went by, and there's a customer we've been trying to get training with. It's the village of Algonquin, I think it's called. And
you got that one. Nailed it.
okay, and they just didn't do it, you know. But they happened to go to the Naperville shop and kind of talk to those guys there, and they were extremely impressed by what was the difference between this shop that hasn't had training yet and the shop that has. And in fact, they were so impressed, literally within a day, they called us and they said, "We don't know what you did at Naperville, but we want it in our shop." And they literally paid for the training. They're going to get a couple of days training here this month. They wanted it like immediately. So our guy is going up there in a week or so to give them the same training. So that's the training we're offering. What I'm trying to stress here is when you add this kind of support from the software side by Flexi, from the training side by us, and then what Grimco is doing for you, there's, I mean, it's just a winning situation. You're not going to be out there doing things on your own.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's why we love the partnership with SAi Flexi, Flexi Addendo. Like it's what the customers need, you know. And you know, some people have limited their expectations are fine, and the basic training is good and gets them going. But some people want to take it to the next level and really keep going. An investment in training is always a good investment. I mean, it's going to net itself tenfold over time and just make your life easier on a daily basis. So Grimco's main philosophy is we're here to help you grow your business. Partners like SAi Flexi really help us do that. So
absolutely. Yeah, and we'll be here a long time.
this is awesome. Well, Mark, I want to thank you for jumping on today. If you guys got any other questions, please send an email to hssales@grimco.com. If you're thinking about getting into MUTCD compliant traffic sign printing, let us know what we can do for you. We're there to help you grow, help you solve the problems. So thank you all for taking time out of your day and joining us. And Mark, thanks for jumping on the call.
Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it, Neil.
All right, everybody have a good afternoon.